If your body feels heavy, your blood pressure keeps fluctuating, and you feel like you are doing everything right without seeing results, pay attention to this. Eating 2 cloves of garlic a day can indeed cause real changes in your body. But here is the shocker. Most people use garlic the wrong way and end up wasting most of its potential. And worse, in some situations, it can even become a silent problem. In this video, I am going to show you what happens in the first few days, what might change after a few weeks, the simple mistake that changes everything, and the dark side of garlic that no one talks about. Garlic is not a miracle, but it is not just a seasoning either. When it is crushed, chopped, or chewed, sulfur compounds are activated, mainly allicin, and that is what puts garlic on the scientific radar. Recent reviews show that garlic and garlic preparations can slightly help with blood pressure and cholesterol, especially in those who already have high levels. But here's the conflict that almost no one tells you. Much of the strongest evidence comes from standardized extracts and supplements, while studies on raw garlic are still smaller and more varied. So yes, there is potential, but there is a better way to use it and a way to get it all wrong. Before we continue, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and share it. This helps this information reach people who are trying to improve their health with the right strategy, instead of wasting time with incomplete tips. The point that changes everything is this. Whole garlic is one thing, crushed garlic becomes another. Inside the clove, there are separate compounds. When you cut, crush, or chew it, an enzyme goes into action and forms allicin. In other words, the potential benefit of garlic depends on mechanical damage. If you swallow the whole clove like a capsule, you might be canceling out the very activation that makes garlic interesting. And this is crucial. Now pay attention to this. These sulfur compounds have been studied for their antioxidant action, for possible effects on the endothelium, which is like the inner lining of the blood vessels, and for mechanisms linked to nitric oxide, which helps vessels relax. To translate, garlic does not magically clean your arteries. What it can do is promote a slightly better biological environment for circulation and the control of certain markers. Think about Carla. She heard that garlic is good for you and started swallowing 2 whole cloves on an empty stomach. 3 days later, she had heartburn, strong breath, and zero confidence that it worked. The problem was not just the garlic, it was the method. And what you actually notice first in your body is not what most people imagine. In the first few days, the most likely effect is not a cure, it is a reaction. You might notice stronger breath and body odor, gas, abdominal discomfort, mild nausea, and in some people, worse acid reflux. This is the shock that many people do not expect. They think the garlic will start working from the inside out, but in practice, the body first shows tolerance or intolerance. After 1 to a few weeks, if a person has high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol, or mild metabolic resistance, subtle changes may appear in some markers. And here is the honest truth. Do not expect a cinematic transformation in the mirror. What science suggests is something quieter, more internal, and usually modest. Over longer periods, such as several weeks or months, reviews and meta-analyses have found small reductions in blood pressure, total cholesterol, and LDL, with more evident benefits in people who already start with worse cardiometabolic risk. In other words, if your levels are already great, you might notice very little. But if there is an underlying problem, garlic can act as a supporting player. Now imagine Roberto, 58 years old, with blood pressure always at the limit. He started out expecting a miracle in 7 days. It did not happen. What changed was more subtle. Consistency in his diet, walking, better sleep, and garlic became part of the routine, not the lone star. And that completely changes the expectation. If the question is, what happens to your body? The most honest answer is this. Garlic can help a little on 3 main fronts. First, blood pressure. Second, lipid profile, such as total cholesterol and LDL. Third, some glycemic markers, to a lesser extent. But here's the emotional conflict. The internet sells garlic as if it solves everything, and that is not true. The evidence for immunity, for example, is still limited, and using garlic does not replace medicine, appointments, exams, training, or a better routine. What they sold you as a complete solution might be distracting you from the complete strategy. Now pay close attention to this, because this is crucial. If you have reflux, a sensitive stomach, gastritis, use blood thinners, take aspirin regularly, or are going to have surgery, garlic, and especially garlic supplements, deserve extra care. If you ignore this, the problem can continue to get worse in silence. What is more, natural does not automatically mean safe. This is one of the most dangerous mistakes in the world of health. Some people do everything right on paper. They eat garlic, take supplements, cut out sugar, but they forget to tell their doctor before a procedure. And that is where the detail becomes a risk. If you want to include 2 cloves of garlic a day in your routine, do it like this. First, do not treat it as a suffering challenge. You do not need to hurt your stomach to take care of your health. Second, crush, chop, or chew it well. This step is the trigger for activation. Third, put the garlic in a meal, not necessarily on an empty stomach, especially if you have digestive sensitivity. Fourth, be consistent for weeks, not for 2 days. Fifth, observe your body, digestion, reflux, breath, tolerance, and any interaction with medications. Error number 1, swallowing it whole. Error number 2, thinking that more is always better. Error number 3, using garlic to compensate for a bad routine. Error number 4, giving up too soon or expecting miracle results. Error number 5, ignoring signs that your body is not tolerating it. And here's the point that changes everything. The right question is not, does garlic work? The right question is, for whom, in what context, in what way, and for how long? To sum it up, if you eat 2 cloves of garlic a day, what can happen to your body? You may activate interesting bioactive compounds. You may have some modest support for blood pressure and cholesterol, and you might notice small metabolic effects over time. But you can also have gas, nausea, heartburn, strong breath, or discomfort if you do it the wrong way. Garlic is not a villain. It is also not a miracle. It is a simple, cheap, and potentially useful tool, as long as it is used with intelligence. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe now and share it, because this helps this content reach more people before they continue doing it the wrong way. And comment below, do you consume garlic raw, cooked, or do you avoid it completely? I want to use your answers to bring the next video with more practical examples.